I don't know.
That's, it's always.
That would have to be a lot. Do it for just varsity.
What?
Do it for just varsity because then
7:30.
students on the varsity are dedicated, they've made it through that whole thing, and it's sort of a reward for.
I am calling the regular monthly meeting of September 26, 2024 was reconvened and called to order at 7:30 p.m. at Thomas Jefferson School, 37-01 Fairlawn Avenue, Room 19, Fairlawn, New Jersey. There are 5 members of the public in attendance. Can I have a roll call?
Mr. Baldowski?
Here.
Mr. Banta?
For you.
Dr. Bertolini?
Present.
Ms. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Fave-Elovich is absent. Mr. Rosenberg?
Here.
Mr. Spindell is absent. Ms. Yerman?
Here.
Mrs. Mahan?
Present.
We have a quorum.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with provisions of this act, the Fairlawn Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof distributed to the persons on the approved list, posted in the Board of Education Administrative Office, and sent to the Bergen Record and the Star Ledger. The announcement posting for the regular monthly meeting, along with the date, place, and time thereof, was distributed on January 5th, 2024. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we are going to get started with our student representative report from Lindsay Samuel, our Fairlawn High School student representative. I do just ask the board that when you are speaking this evening that you be reminded to turn on your microphones.
Hello everyone, it's always great to see so many familiar faces at meetings like these. I just wanted to say that if I hadn't had the opportunity to meet you yet, I'm Lindsay Samuel and I'm going to be the new Board of Education representative for this school year. And I'm a current senior, so it's a pleasure to be back at Fairlawn High School, especially as it is my last year. Student activities are already in full swing and all of our clubs are in the process of having their introductory meetings and gearing up for our annual club fair on October 2nd. At Club Fair, each club has a table where they display posters, flyers, and other information about their organizations and how students can get involved. This is a great opportunity for students to explore all that we have to offer and figure out what clubs interest them. Aside from Club Fair, we have a bunch of other school-wide events to look forward to in the coming months. Our Student Government Association is preparing for our monthly General Assembly meetings, Fall Spirit Week, our first ever Fairlawn High School homecoming dance on October 25th, and so much more. Yeah. I'm excited too. Overall, we have had a great start to our school year. We're so excited to see what's to come, and I'm looking forward to future meetings this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Dr. Dionisio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Mahan. Thank you, Lindsay. And I'm not quite sure who's more excited about the upcoming dance, if it's you or Ms. Brown, but I think she's willing to chaperone if we need extra chaperones. So,
I do.
so tonight, as we can see behind Ms. Yerman, we do have a presentation this evening. Dr. Lacatina and Ms. DeFranco are going to be presenting on the graduation pathway data momentarily in a few minutes. So you're okay right now, Ms. Yerman. And also on the district goals and objectives, specifically the action items that we talked about last month, that we would have a presentation tonight. But before we get there, I just want to echo and thank Lindsay for being here tonight and being our student representative this year. And it's an honor to have you here and to have our student voice being here amongst all of the adults, so that way we can stay grounded in the work that happens in our school. So thank you for serving in this capacity. Well deserved. And as the board knows, we also will have representatives from TJ and Memorial That typically will begin in October, so our student representatives will begin at the October 30th meeting. But before we get into just a few highlights, I did just want to say that we did have a very successful school opening this year. Everything ran very, very smoothly, and that's a testament to all of the educators within our school district, all of the staff members, and certainly all of our students and our families as well. So it's been a really wonderful start to the school year. I think, as Ms. Hoffman shared, we're 16 days in, and looking forward to just a really wonderful school year ahead. A few items that I do want to just highlight that have been prevalent within our schools. First, No Place for Hate initiative that started and stemmed at Fair Lawn High School, and we are expanding to our other district schools. That continues to be a very important partnership that we have. Our student leaders this week recently shared some powerful words in a short video to explain the importance of signing a pledge to be a cutter and to be committed to what it means to be a cutter and to make sure that we have an inclusive and safe space for everyone. Activities at the high school occurred this past week, and there was a commitment and signing of the pledge. We do have an update that will be going out in the next few days that will be sent out in the district superintendent corner column in the communication, and there will be a video that our students put together with Mrs. Vogt and our administrative team around this really important initiative that was shared earlier this week. We also had the Start with Hello campaign, which is an effort that was established out of the Sandy Hook Promise. That initiative occurred from September 16th through the 20th last week across all of our schools. It's a program of assemblies and fun activities and making sure that we're welcoming once again and creating a very safe space, an inclusive space for all of our students. And there's a video of our Lindcrest students that recently had a pep rally, and they just had some really wonderful events over at Lindcrest and across our district with the Kindness Sprinklers initiative that they did. We had Arts in Education Week that celebrated our arts education in our schools, both visual and performing arts. And it was just a really wonderful event to be able to see and all of the highlights of the amazing work that's happening in our arts classrooms. And now we are in National Hispanic Heritage Month. That takes place from September 15th to October 15th, celebrating the history, the culture, and accomplishments of National Hispanic Heritage Month. So a lot of really exciting things spearheading and starting off the school year on the right foot. We're really excited about a number of different initiatives that we're going to be focusing on this year. And I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Lackatina and to Mrs. DeFranco, who will continue with, as you will all recall, the work that we summarized back on May 30th, which was the State of Our Schools presentation. We will now be able to see how the survey feedback that we received from our community really ties in and builds into the direction and the goals and the action items that we have moving forward for the 2024-2025 school year. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Lackatina, who will start us off.
Good evening, everyone. Before I get on to the district goals and the associated action items, we need to report out to you on the graduation pathways data from our class of 2024 that graduated in June. So we had 387 students that graduated from Fair Lawn High School, and what the rest of this chart tells you is what were the assessments that the students passed required by the New Jersey Department of Education that allowed them to graduate from high school. So the NJGPA is the first pathway. It's the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment. 346 of those graduates passed that assessment in ELA. 345 of them passed that assessment in math. Those that did not pass the NJGPA were able to take any number of substitute competency tests, such as a PSAT, an SAT, an Accuplacer, for example. 37 additional students passed it in ELA, and 37 students passed that in math. There were several students that still needed to meet one of the requirements, the assessment requirements for graduation. So 3 other students took the portfolio appeals process in ELA, while 2 took it in math. There are sometimes instances when students in their IEP, it allows them to take a different alternative requirement for high school graduation. So one of our students did that in ELA, 3 students did that in math. And there were 4 students that were denied graduation last year, and that was due to a lack of credits. They did not have enough credits. Moving on to district goals. Hopefully we're all as excited as she is. All right. As Dr. Dionisio said, last year we gathered a great deal of data. Dr. Dionisio sent out a thought exchange in which he asked key stakeholders, what are the points of pride that you have in our schools? What should we be celebrating? And where is there an opportunity for us to improve and continue to grow? When this got sent out, it was sent to students. It was sent to all of our staff, Board of Education members, parents, as well as community members that perhaps don't have children in the school. We received 2,423 responses. From those responses, those participants created 2,186 different thoughts about points of pride and points for opportunity. This number, however, is really incredible. We also ask our stakeholders to comment or rate those thoughts. We have 53,218 different ratings amongst all of those participants. So we really gathered a great deal of information from school-based stakeholders as well as community-based stakeholders. And here on this slide, you can see the percentages of stakeholders. Who were they? So students represented 54% of these responses, and so on. All of this information was gathered, and here is a summary of what those thoughts were. So there's a great sense of pride in our diversity, our academic excellence, the extracurricular activities that are offered in our schools. They appreciate that we celebrate different cultures, different holidays. The quality of our education is believed to be a strength. The variety of clubs and sports that we offer. But they also highlight areas where we can continue to improve. They talked about a need for more awareness programs on bullying and kindness, better preparation for our high school students, more focus on staff wellness, improvements in the physical infrastructure, particularly the cleanliness of the bathrooms. They also talked about wanting more emphasis on mental health, inclusion of more career-oriented courses, and better management of student behavior. Those were the areas that we received from the over 2,400 people that responded and the 53,000 plus ratings. So these areas right here, the areas that our constituents said, we believe these are the areas that we need to improve upon, that became the focus for us when developing our district goals as well as the action items that went along with them. They fit perfectly right into these 3 district goals: career and technical education, maintaining student and staff well-being, and tiered academic systems of support. So we're going to go through each of these district goals and explain to you the different action items that we're going to undertake this year to reach these goals. So career and technical education, we want to explore programs and courses of study that prepare students for the world of work by introducing them to workplace competencies and real-world applied content. So what are we going to do? I'm going to backtrack a little bit in some of these slides to June, July, and August because we did not get to report that last year, and it's important for you to see the continuum. So over the summer, we talked about this last year, but over the summer, we actually finished completing the curriculum for the Global Supply Chain Management #1 and #2 course. So those were written over the summer. They are being implemented currently. So first semester, we will be offering Global Supply Chain Management 1, and second semester, we will then start to implement the Global Supply Chain Management 2. If you remember, we talked about student surveys that we did last year, and we got a lot of great data from that. And based on that information, we now need to do something with that with those results. So we are going to continue our discussions about how can we expand our elective options for our students in 9th through 12th grade. We know that students expressed a desire, they like culinary. So is that something we need to explore and continue to expand? They talked about marketing. These are areas that we want to continue to look at to see if we should be expanding and how we can do that. We also want to explore those options for our 7th and 8th grade students as well. If we can start to talk to our 7th and 8th graders about some of these opportunities, introduce them to more ideas, more types of courses, will that inspire them to then seek out those opportunities once they get to the high school? So we want to investigate that as well. You know from last year that we talked about coding and computer science. We're starting our new Python course this year, but we want to continue that work, and we want to continue to explore what else is possible in the area of computer science. The student survey said students are interested in it. We're interested in it. What else can we offer? Is it cybersecurity? Is it app design? You know, what are the interests of the students? What are we capable of possibly creating as far as new courses at the high school in that area? Again, we use those survey results to sort of guide us in the direction of some possible new CTE opportunities. For example, vocational theater, the culinary one that I mentioned earlier. So if we believe that we can possibly move forward with these, we're going to create outlines for the 3 courses that we would need to have in order to apply for approval from the Department of Education. We're also going to be looking at just focused courses of study. So even if it's not a CTE approved program, is there a 3-course sequence that still would provide students with an expanded opportunity in a very focused area? If we do become a CTE program, we need to identify industry partners. We have to do that work in this school year so that we would have placements for our students next year. We want to, again, look at possible computer science courses, create those course outlines. We need to meet with our budget committees to say, hey, if we're going to move forward with this, do we need any money? Do we need to budget anywhere to make sure that we can actually hold these courses? Once we talk about that, we can meet with the Board of Education, present the viability of putting these programs into place. And I'm going to skip one for 1 second because I'm on a roll with this CTE. We have to do the comprehensive local needs assessments for our Perkins grant. We have to apply for approval for any possible CTE expansion programs. And then over the summer, we would obviously finalize and develop the actual curricula for those courses. We also, though, in addition to all of this work, want to also make sure that we are looking at program offerings and expansion of our general electives for our students with IEPs as well, to make sure that they also have these similar opportunities. So that's an important piece of our action plan. I'm going to invite Mrs. DeFranco up to talk about our maintaining student and staff well-being goal. Yeah.
Action items.
Action items, yeah.
So in order to have wonderful wellness activities and goals, you need to start always with a committee. So I'm always really excited because we have representatives from each of our schools that serve on our wellness committee and have spearheaded a lot of these activities within the district. We'll be meeting probably another couple of weeks with this committee. This year, we were fortunate enough, based on your support as a board, we have a different guidance structure at the high school level, which includes grade 9 school counselors. These are school counselors that focus on our grade 9 students. Their caseload is specific to grade 9 and works to make sure that transition into high school goes a lot more smoothly, but also creating inroads and making pathways for our 8th grade students. They'll visit our 8th graders throughout the year just to make them feel more comfortable as they venture into the high school experience. That also relates into our CTE goal because they'll be speaking to them about what kind of pathways and activities they would like to see at the high school. So we'll see their interest and opinion weaved into what we talk about later for CTE. Much of what you're going to see tonight when we talk about wellness is not only our wellness day and wellness activities, but also a lot of PD that we want to be providing for our staff, which can then emanate out to the classroom setting for years into the future. So the first is providing professional development for student mental health and classroom strategies for our teachers. So identifying at-risk groups and making sure that they feel like they can handle those groups. Part of that is going to come from our suicide awareness training this year. And part of that came from your feedback in terms of, hey, my student is struggling and having a difficult time. Some of that was from even our students at the high school, most of which completed this survey and felt like last year this started and it continued into this year in terms of providing groups for how to manage when you're taking tests, how to manage when you have a lot on your plate, how to manage your time, how to deal with the stressors that come in and out, especially at the secondary level. We found a lot of feedback from that level. And also giving professional development from our school counseling staff and CST staff to teachers of high-achieving learners. That also ties back into what Natalie has spoken to you about in the past with our gifted and talented learners and our high-achieving learners. And that was part of the audit that was done, saying, hey, our teachers need guidance for this group of learners. With that being said, we also wanted to make sure that the students, all students, not just high-achieving students, could get access to our counseling and our resources. So you'll see that at the bottom where it says how to prepare for high-stakes tests and activities. This year, again, we're providing PD for reacting to incidents of HIB and bias. We are going to be having ADL training, and the Comegno Law Group provided HIB training last week. We thank them very much for all of their service. It was a wonderful training for our school administrators on how to recognize HIB, plan for it, and really gave us that good legal update that we needed in terms of that. We're also going to be implementing our school-based activities for wellness. It's going to look a little bit different this year. Our wellness day is going to be building-based. Instead of pulling a district-wide wellness day, because as Dr. Dionisio said before, we're doing our No Place for Hate activities, we're completing our ADL training. I mentioned earlier about suicide awareness training. We have a lot of training that needs to be completed. We try to prioritize our wellness activities. We didn't want our wellness day to disappear or go away, but we are going to be doing it at the building level. And the reason is that it just provides us with a little bit more flexibility in reaching our staff. That is not to say we're not going to have wonderful activities for our staff on that day and for our students, but you might see that building per building. We will have a theme for the district because, as you know, we still like to be consistent. We like to be unified. We like to work together as a group and as a team. So that's why we're going to be meeting with our wellness committee to come up with that team. And at the end, we will be convening 2 meetings of our district's Community Leadership Council that Dr. Dionisio started last year, which I think just ties everything together in terms of wellness. Making sure our community members are present, making sure different stakeholders are present at the table. They were so productive, and we look forward to those in the future.
And our final goal is the tiered academic systems of support, which will provide enhanced educational opportunities for our diverse learners using differentiated instruction. So this is a continuation goal as well. We have done a great deal of work in this area. Again, backtracking a little bit to June, we had started using DIBELS last year. We reported out on that, but then in June, we provided additional training to all of our staff in kindergarten, grade 1, elementary special education, and all of our literacy intervention teachers received that training. We're also very fortunate that we have 3 literacy coaches in district. They received the Train the Trainer training, so that they can now turnkey that to any of our other staff members that may have missed some of those trainings. So that's a great benefit to our district. We are now going to be using a new elementary reading assessment protocol, which is DIBBLES. That is why we have such an emphasis on here. We believe that it brings us much more beneficial and targeted information about our students' skills. So that went into effect in September. We're also implementing a new literacy resource in grades 3 through 4 called No Red Ink. It's a computer-based adaptive writing support program that provides modeling for students on how to write. It gives them opportunities to engage in exercises where they can reorder sentences and change grammar to improve their writing. Students so far really like it. It's engaging. It's based on their interests. So we've gotten some nice feedback from that so far. As you heard last year, we updated and revised our grades K through 6 gifted program. We implemented that this year, so we are in the midst of identifying and doing some assessments right now. We are going to continue with our reading portfolio assessment and DIBBLES work with all of our elementary special education students. We started this last year. We are going to continue that to help us with guiding their programs. We did a great deal of work last year with data analysis. That is going to continue. We are becoming much more proficient with looking at data and identifying groups of students to put together to work on specific targeted skills. So it really helps to guide our instruction. And what we are going to continue to do is use our grade level meetings at elementary to work with principals and coaches and our teaching staff to continue that data analysis work. We're going to use faculty, department, and grade level meeting time to do that as well. 2 newer things, we are going to now target not just looking at class level data and looking at the students within a classroom, we're now going to look at specialized programs. We're going to look at our early intervention literacy programs. And we're going to work with our coaches and the elementary literacy specialists to drill down for those students' needs. So again, anytime we have the opportunity to look at data and identify better ways for us to instruct those students, it benefits our children. We're going to do a very similar thing with our elementary coaches and our special education teachers to specifically look at their students' data in math and literacy. Again, targeted skills instruction is what this is all aimed at, differentiating the instruction to meet the needs of our students. Along with DIBBLES, we have something called Amplify M-Class, and what this is, it's a computer-based program that allows us to do very quick assessments of our students to gather data, and then this program then is able to provide for the teacher activities, lessons, and strategies immediately. Oh, a student is having a problem with this skill. Here's a relevant, applicable lesson and strategy that you can use to address that child's need. We are extending our professional development on the topic of multi-tiered systems of support. We have already scheduled for our grades 2, 3, and 4 teachers this year, and we are scheduling middle school math teachers as well. So that will be coming up on our half-day PD days in October, January, and then we might be bringing some of our professionals back at some other times to work with our staff in follow-up meetings. So at the end of the year, it's really important for us to take a look back and reflect. We are going to reflect back on our MTSS work. We're going to reflect back on our new gifted program structures and find out what works, what doesn't work, what do we need to tweak and refine and or expand for the following year. Questions?
Thank you for the presentation, as always wonderful. I'm glad to see the continuation of district goals since it gives us the ability to focus on growth rather than just benchmarks and getting it done through the year. I had one question concerning CTE. So I saw that most of the ones that we're talking about and the ones that are mentioned on the benchmarks are elective courses that we currently have, but we're looking to change them into CTE programming, it appears. So that's culinary, the theater, just how we did with childcare. But what's missing there, I think, and I don't know if this is a discussion, of those that are traditionally considered trades. I know we had talked about that in the past, but it just seemed to be missing up there, and I didn't know what the plan was there.
Yeah, so when we surveyed the students last year, we did ask about CTE-focused programs, but we also did ask about vocational and trade programs. So I'm just going to refer to my notes, so I need glasses. That's okay. I could see far, just not close up. So when we asked the students, we had 54% of our students say, hey, I'm really interested in electrical. And we have 45% saying automotive would be great. They think that's interesting. Plumbing, 18.7%, HVAC and refrigeration, 11.2%. So, you know, we take a look at those and we say, well, automotive. That's really interesting and would love to do that. That would involve a lot of facilities work, right? It would require buildings and special equipment and a lot of more long-range planning. So it's something that's going to be harder for us to implement in a district goal this year, obviously, right? That's big discussion. And electrical, same kind of thing. We would have to, that's a little easier. We might not need as specialized rooms. So we are not discounting that. We're not. We want to look at this data as well. It's just a bit of a longer range plan. And also we have to consider, kids think it's interesting, will they actually apply to those programs? So we might have to get a little bit more information from some of our students as well. We were just saying like, hey, what would you like us to consider implementing, right? But we do have to consider some of that in there as well. That has been a course of discussion, as you know, for a couple of years, the trades. So, you know, we have woods, we have, you know, with our design program and architecture, they don't necessarily have to go to architecture school for that. They could go into a trade. But I do understand what you're saying. We have not forgotten that. It is still something that's on our radar. It is going to take a different type of planning for us to consider some of those kinds of programs.
And if I may add as well, on that point, you know, part of the conversations that we've had are how do you introduce some of these courses to students to gauge their interest before we start looking at more of a larger scale building additions, building rooms. You know, can we do something on a smaller scale, really test out to see if the students are really going to, number one, truly be interested, and number two, fit it into their schedule with all of the other amazing course options that we have, right? So that's where we need to continue to work this year around what that potentially looks like, and then try to scale it from there if there's student interest.
Just to kind of piggyback off of what Joe was saying too, I know in your presentation there was discussion about community stakeholders and getting them involved too. Is that something that we could look into to see, to gauge interest? Because I know that there are a lot of automotive shops in town. Is that something that we could look into utilizing, excuse me, when we're thinking about that?
Yeah, I think like with any program that we have, any course offerings, anytime that students have real world application outside of the classroom, that has significant tangible benefits for our students, whether it's in advertising or in marketing or in automotives. So similar to the other programs that we create, you know, creating those partnerships is critically important. And we have a lot of really amazing businesses within our community that are willing to help and are looking for students to come and learn and to contribute into these different fields. So there's a ton of potential out there.
I also wanted to thank the administration for their thoughtful and thorough planning that's obviously in place to improve and continue to expand our CTE programs, and for all of our students in the district.
looking for career training opportunities for when we leave our halls. I'm really excited to see where these are going to take us. Like Joe said, you know, we're not hitting benchmarks. We're in the business of showing growth in these goals. So I really appreciate that. I also appreciate, as a special education teacher, that you have really been thoughtful in targeting PDs geared towards special education teachers and their student-specific needs, because I've sat in many meetings that didn't apply to me or my students. So it was nice to see in your planning and in your goals that you have things specifically geared towards that. So I thank you. I'm also impressed with the continued community involvement as it relates to our district goals. Keeping those lines of communication are really, really important because, like you said, we have a lot of stakeholders who can really help our district goals outside of the school walls. So I appreciate you doing that as well. So I just want to thank you all.
Thank you.
Dr. Bertolini.
I have a few points. One, I want to piggyback on what Jean piggybacked on what Joe said. So I guess I'm a double pig. But I think if space becomes an issue, there's the shared programs with Lincoln Tech and Eastwick that we could utilize if we have to. Secondly, it was a quick slide, but I think it's important to emphasize the graduation slide early in the beginning of the presentation, that less than 1% of our students had to use the portfolio program to graduate, which is a significant point and a compliment to both our staff and our students for their academic achievement. Second of all, I want to thank both Mr. Franco and Dr. Lacatina for the detailed presentation tonight. I think it was wonderful, and it shows where we're moving as a district. And finally, I'd like to recognize and applaud Dr. Lacatina as she comes near her end as after 20 years in the district. She could have certainly coasted through this year and said, I'm done in December. But obviously by the presentation tonight, she remained dedicated and professional to our school district. So I want to appreciate that and thank you.
Of course, of course.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Wow. That's what I want to say first. First of all, I want to piggyback on Dr. More of a pig than you. On Dr. Bertolini's statement about the high school graduation rates. It is very, very impressive. Of course, we would like there to be 0 at the end, but there's always going to be kids that don't reach their potential. As far as the district goals, I have never in my 17 years here seen such a detailed plan going forward and how we're going to look at the results, and I really, really, really appreciate it. I know the CTE, it's hard and long process, and I agree with Joe that we do need to start looking at some of those trades, traditional trades, because I've heard a lot from the public about that. So I'm glad that it's not, I realize how long that's going to take, but I'm glad it's not been forgotten, certainly. And I want to thank Dr. Dionisio for doing that research, amazing results. I've never seen anything in this district come back with so many respondents. So that's the way to do it, certainly. So I really appreciate it, and thank you. And thank you, Mr. Franco, for everything you do, especially for our special needs population. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And can I make a comment? Is that okay?
Sure.
One of our strengths that perhaps was not listed up there, because not everybody is aware of it, is our collaborative leadership in this district. And not only the leadership, but I think it's also the collaboration between the leaders and the staff. All this work here that you're seeing, whether it's graduation results or action plan, is the result of a team of leaders and a team of teachers and other key staff members working together for the ultimate goal of making sure kids learn. because that's our job. That's what we're here for. It's about every single student and ensuring that they learn. So I am grateful to all of our administrators that have helped with these goals and have helped do the trainings and work with our staff. And I can't say enough about our teachers, our educational specialists, and secretaries, custodians, everybody in our district. But the work they do every day with our students is impressive. And I believe that we have a fabulous working relationship with them. And it's because of that teamwork that we have results that you see right here. And that's from kindergarten through grade 12 and our preschool as well here at Edison. So I just wanted to say that. I want to make sure that people know that this is the result of the whole community. It's the village. It's not just a couple of people that are presenting tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Yearman?
I'm not going to piggyback back, but I am going to say congratulations. Wonderful presentation, and the comments that were made and what was presented, really fantastic. Thank you so much.
Sure.
This is the public portion on the agenda items only. Please limit questions at this time to resolutions on the current agenda. Please provide your name and municipality in which you reside and sign in. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and specify the resolution you are referring to in your question or comment. This is not a dialogue between the speaker and the board. All comments will be taken at once, and when public comments are complete, the board president or district administration will respond as best they can. During the public portion of the meeting for other business, the same procedure will apply. The floor is open. Yes, because we are recording for YouTube and Fairlawn TV.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
My name is Joyce Sturfus. I've lived in Fairlawn for 70 years. I've gone through all of the school systems. My children have gone through all of the school systems, and my grandchildren have gone through all of the school systems. I've seen many, many changes in Fairlawn, some for the good and some for the bad, as it should be, because the world is changing. What I'd like to say is I have a granddaughter who's 22 years old, just graduated from college, and she has said to me on multiple occasions, "Grandma, you're so lucky because when you grew up in Fairlawn, you had fun. We don't have fun anymore." We used to have football games on Saturday. We used to have football games on Thanksgiving. Kids would buy their parents a mum corsage. There were hot dogs served. It was a fun, fun thing. Grandma stayed home and put the turkey in the oven, but everybody else was watching the football game. We've gone from no people going to football games, and now we play on Thursday night. It's absolutely terrible. But the real reason that I'm here, I worked for the Board of Ed for 25 years. I was the secretary to the principal at Memorial School. I retired about 9 or 10 years ago. I had a wonderful time working with all of the people, Natalie, Joanne Wilson, and all the people that aren't here anymore. But what I'd like to find out is, has $20,000 been allotted to change the FL to a different logo? And if it has, doesn't the Board of Ed have something better to do with $20,000 than change a logo which was, when I graduated in 1963, was an F and an L. Now it's a bubble. Now it has to be changed again. What is the purpose of changing the FL? What does it do? Does it make the district better? Does it make the kids happier? Could the kids have designed something instead of paying somebody to do this? To me, it's a waste of money. And I have to say that when I worked for 25 years in Memorial, I saw a lot of things that were wasteful. And it's really disgraceful. And I have to say, that if this thing should go through and $20,000 is spent to redesign the FL, I will never vote in another Board of Ed budget. And I will tell all of my friends, and I have many people who graduated with me and still are in Fair Lawn, that this is not a good way for the board to be spending money. I'm sure somebody needs a computer. I'm sure a classroom needs an air conditioner. I'm sure there's something. I watched Memorial and TJ go from home ec and wood shop to nothing. They sold everything. It wasn't necessary. Everything had to be a computer. Now, I understand it's all going back in again. So all those sewing machines and kitchens, gone. That's enough? I can't say more.
You have a 3-minute time limit.
Okay, well, just so that you know, this is not acceptable in this town. Three minutes to say you're not doing justice to this town.
Is there anything on the Google form? Yep.
You only have 3 minutes. Yes, I'm well aware. Thank you.
Please be mindful that these are on agenda items only.
So I can't comment on this?
No, we will be referring back. Is there anybody who has any questions or comments on agenda items only? Is there anything on the Google form?
There are no comments.
Ms. Durfus, we will respond if there is a comment or a question in response to your statement at the end during other business, as this is focused on agenda items only.
I don't need any responses to
Okay.
my comment. I said what I
Understood.
Thank you, ma'am.
This is on agenda items only.
You know what? This gentleman who's the board attorney, he really is not a good
Okay.
representative.
This is not a conversation.
Not a conversation, you know? We have a lot of good people here. Mr. Rosenberg,
I'm going to move into board comments. I'm sorry, ma'am.
just do your thing and ruin town, because that's what's happening in Fair Lawn.
I am now going to be opening the floor to board member comments on agenda items only. I'm going to be moving into board comments on agenda items only. Seeing none, the floor is closed. Can I get a motion?
I'm so sorry, did you just say non-agenda items?
Nope.
Oh, on agenda, right? Agenda, okay, thank you. I'm sorry, just a little bit distracted by the whole situation.
Can I get a motion for 3A?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Baldowski,
Yes.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Bertolini,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Yerman,
Abstain.
Mrs. Mahan,
Yes.
motion passes.
Can I get a motion for 6A through D?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, you're right. It's okay, I'll go back.
You did a motion?
Me.
Roll call?
Thank you. Mr. Baldowski,
Yes.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Bertolini,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Yerman,
What was the number, 6A?
Sorry, 6A through D.
Okay, yes on everything and except an extension on 6A15.
thank you. Mrs. Mahan,
Yes.
motion passes.
I'm going to go backwards. Can I get a motion for 5D and E?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Baldowski,
Yes.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Bertolini,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Yerman,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Can I get a motion for 7A through E, 7G through J?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Baldowski,
Yes.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Bertolini,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Yurman,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Can I have a motion for 8A through C?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Baldowski,
Yes.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Bertolini,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Yurman,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Can I have a motion for 9A through C?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Baldowski,
Yes.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Bertolini,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Yurman,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Can I have a motion for 10A through Q?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Baldowski,
Yes.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Bertolini,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Yurman,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Can I have a motion for 11A and B?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Baldowski,
Yes.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Bertolini,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Yurman,
I'm going to abstain on both.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
This is the public board comments on any items. No, it's not. This is the public comments on any items. Please provide your name and municipality in which you reside and sign in. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. This is not a dialogue between the speaker and the board. All comments will be taken at once, and when comments are complete, the board president or district administration will respond as best they can. The floor is open.
Sorry, Christine Weinstein, Fair Lawn. I wanted to just quickly ask about the status of the high school digital sign that's outside. I know last year we were asking about if it was going to be fixed by the end of the year. I think they're waiting for a part. I'm not really sure where we are with it, but it's still blank. A lot of great information is posted there all the time. Congratulatory, notices are always put up there. It's really great to have that back. So I hope that it's in the works to be fixed. I just would like an update on that. The other thing is we had back to school night last night, and it was so much fun. I just have to say, the high school is just an amazing place. Meeting with my son's teachers, and he's a senior this year, and it's just, I want to go back. I want to sit there. I said to him, I'll go to school for you. I'll sit there. The teachers are just so engaging and wonderful, and on this level, hearing them talk about career opportunities and how they present this and they bring it into the curriculum, and just it's very exciting to hear, and it was just a great night. I just absolutely love the high school, so I just wanted to bring a positive note.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. On August 26th, I stood before you and raised concerns about high-ranking administrator using student images on personal website without proper consent. Instead of directly addressing the issue, the website was quietly taken down without any public acknowledgement or transparency from the board. After the meeting, I was informed that the same administrator had a Twitter account where images of Fairlawn children were posted. As of now, the images of our students remain visible on personal LinkedIn accounts. Despite these clear violations, the board has taken no decisive actions to determine or even address these issues. These inactions seems to be direct conflict with Fair Loan All Access Form, federal and state laws. For instance, the policy 1920, which is a board policy, states school district will not release or publish photographs of individual pupils without the prior written permissions from parents and legal guardians. The lack of response from the board is troubling. Failure to obtain proper consent before using images of minors is not just an oversight, it's a serious offense. Yet despite repeated warnings and public concern, there has been no public acknowledgement of these actions. As an elected body, it is your duty to establish and enforce policies and protect the privacy and ensure the safety of every student in our district. By not addressing these concerns, the board is failing to fulfill this fundamental responsibility. Tonight, I formally request that the board immediately initiate an independent investigation into this matter. The investigation must determine how and why high-ranking administrator was permitted to post these images on personal platforms. Additionally, I urge the board to take immediate action to develop a comprehensive and clear policy governing the use of student images. This policy must establish where students' images can be posted, define the scope of parental consent, and ensure that the personal accounts of district employees are never used for this purpose. I urge you to act now to protect our children's privacy and ensure that this kind of violation does not happen again. Really quickly, in closing, I wish to emphasize my unwavering belief and importance of privacy. A principle I have consistently upheld during these public meetings by refraining publicly disclosing the administrator's identity, something that they unfortunately fail to extend to the children of our community. Protecting the privacy and well-being of children should remain our top priority. Our laws exist to protect the right of every child. It is our collective responsibility to ensure these protections are enforced. Furthermore, proper safeguards and checks must be put in place to prevent any one person or entity from wielding unchecked authority. I trust that the board will take the necessary step to reserve confidence in our district system and protect the children of this community. I thank you for your attention and in this urgent matter. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Board of Education members and our community. I'm Bojana Tolchinsky. I'm a resident of Fair Lawn, and I'm also a candidate for Fair Lawn Board of Education. And tonight, I would like to discuss the following few matters that we have recently going on. So, matter number one is the use of Fair Lawn logo by candidates for Board of Education. The second matter is Islam in Medieval Times and Kingdom of West Africa, as stated in Thomas Jefferson Middle School Unit 2 in 7th grade Enriched Social Studies curriculum. Matter number three is the tradition of Fair Lawn High School seniors painting their cars and the policy on hate speech or political speech as slogan painted on a student's car. And the last matter is the correct acknowledgement of Fair Lawn Blue Ribbon School status. I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to be here today at the meeting to speak on these matters, and I appreciate your time as well and the answers. And I shall proceed. In regards to the logo, as I mentioned, I would like to mention that the Fair Lawn logo is owned by the district. My question is, has the candidate who has been using the Fairlawn logo on the campaign sign has obtained a permission to use the Fairlawn logo for the campaign. I would also like to ask if the candidate has been endorsed by the teachers union. And I would also like to mention, if this is permitted, may other candidates for Board of Education use the logo for their campaigns as well, because otherwise this seems like an unfair advantage to all the other candidates who are not using the Fairlawn logo on their campaign signs. As I mentioned on my agenda for today, the number 2 is the communication I had with the Thomas Jefferson Social Studies Department. And I would just like to get some clarification because this is a relatively new curriculum and I'm trying to get an understanding on this. So I'm just gonna read a little bit of my email back and forth. I'm not gonna mention any names. So I began by saying, I greatly appreciate your understanding and sending over the syllabus. I had reviewed it and I have a question regarding unit number 2. Why is a public school teaching religion, specifically Islam? And also, if we are teaching about Islam, when will our children learn about other religions, such as Christianity and Judaism, etc., as pertain to the medieval times? I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just trying to understand this method of teaching. So I have the syllabus here.
You could just wrap up your comments.
Okay, I'll try to make it quick. Sorry. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna move on to my next issue because this is a bigger issue, actually.
3 minutes is up.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. This is a big issue. This is a Fairlawn High School issue. So we have here a student who painted
Ma'am, if you wouldn't mind,
Palestine.
each person is provided 3 minutes. I'm going to open this up to the duration of the audience,
Sure.
and then I will go to the Google Doc. You will get additional 3 minutes if we have not
Appreciate it.
maxed out.
Okay, I'll be back. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Okay. Google Doc?
There are no comments on the Google Doc.
Ms. Tolchinsky, you can have an additional 3 minutes. At that point, we will be closing the floor to public comment.
Okay, so as we mentioned that, we have no place for hate, and in regards to, so I know this is a regular tradition that we paint the cars, the seniors of the Fairlawn High School, they paint the cars with various slogans. So I'm trying to clarify if we have a specific policy in place where they can't use something so extremely political, because this is clearly, it is stated by ADL, which you guys work with, that from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It's a clearly anti-Semitic comment or slogan, and I omitted the person's name for their privacy because I'm not sure what's going on with that. And lastly, this is a small one. It's actually just something that caught my attention at yesterday's back to school night regarding the blue ribbon school status. So, so here we have, it says National Blue Ribbon School for the Fairlawn High School, which is correct because obviously the status does not expire. But if you go on nationalblueribbonschools.ed.gov, it clearly states that a school's National Blue Ribbon status does not expire once a school receives the award. It remains National Blue Ribbon School. However, the school representatives must always use the year of the award when identifying the school as a National Blue Ribbon School. For example, Central High School 2021 National Blue Ribbon School is correct. Meanwhile, just stating National Blue Ribbon School is not correct. And if you do a Google search it is said that the last time Fair Lawn High School was. Sorry, hold on just a second. So it was basically the last time in 1990s. So it would be just, you know, a good thing to mention when we talking about Fair Lawn High School being a blue ribbon school. Here it is. It says, in both the 1990 through 91 and 1997 to 98 school years, Fair Lawn High School has received the National Blue Ribbon Award of Excellence. So this would be the, and we should probably look into why wasn't Fair Lawn High School awarded Blue Ribbons Award since then. Thank you for your time. I apologize, I took extra time. Thank you.
The floor is closed. I will now open up the floor for board comment on other business. Not at this time. You do? Okay. I'm gonna hold off on board comments. Dr. Dinizer, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Mahan. Just 2 points that I'd like to address. Taking some notes on some of the items that we will follow up on. But specifically, as it relates to comments from a member of the public regarding the student photo media consent, parent permissions are obtained via the media consent form that's sent out to parents prior to posting on school-affiliated social media platforms, social media blogs, including but not limited to newsletters, such as principal newsletters, superintendent corner column, and district messages permissible under board policy. As far as the earlier comments this evening related to the logo and district branding, there is a follow-up message that will be going out tomorrow. You will recall that at the last board meeting I had stated that there's going to be additional feedback that's provided. The practical objectives around that initiative is to develop a comprehensive branding tool that ensures consistency and ease of use across the entire district. It also helps create a unified visual identity that strengthens the connection between our schools and the district as a whole. The initiative is aimed at refreshing and unifying our district's brand identity, and we believe that a strong, cohesive brand will not only reflect our shared values, but align our district messaging based on the valuable input and the feedback that we've received from the community. That survey feedback will be shared again tomorrow, and then we will be collecting over the next 2 weeks additional feedback around this initiative. And then as far as the digital sign, that is something that we will follow up on. I do know that that was an issue that came up in the spring, so we'll follow up on that and we'll respond back when we have an update.
Open the floor for board member comments. Mr. Rosenberg. Mr. Baldowski.
Thank you, Mrs. Mahan. A couple of things. First of all, I had the pleasure of attending four back-to-school nights this year. Edison, TJ, Memorial, and the high school. And Forest, so 5. And I really got good feedback from some parents, and I'm really excited for this year because the parents most parents are with us, and they really had a good time, especially at the high school. I just want to say something about the high school because it came up tonight. First of all, I believe that this is the first year that seniors did put stuff on their cars. I don't remember that ever happening to the extent, especially that happened this year. And I really liked it for the point that the kids were really getting into their senior year and really happy. You're right, no place for hate, and I'm sorry that a student decided to make it hateful hopefully we could find out what student that was, but it's not a tradition, and it wasn't something that's happened every year. But to that end, the football games, first of all, there was Thursday night games, I believe, I correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Dionisio, I believe it wasn't the norm. It was because of stuff happening those weeks and with the other schools. The whole idea of having lights on the field is so that we could have Friday night games. But I have to say, seeing the first football game, seeing everybody in town, the stands were absolutely full. It's the first time I remember that in a long, long time. The cheerleaders were cheering. The administration was out there cheering with the kids. The kids were having a ball. This is what it's supposed to be in Farallon, and we haven't had that. So I really give the high school credit, because we are getting back to what we were hoping to do. And to Dr. Dionisio's end, one of the whole reasons for branding and getting everybody together, I think it's working that way. And I hope that, I can't wait to see. I think a lot of people after the last board meeting were mistaken about what branding was, and they thought it was just about a logo. It isn't just about a logo. It's just about all 10 schools being one district, and that's what it's all about. You might not agree. I'll end in 1 second. You might not agree with it, but I think if it accomplishes what we want it to, it would be great. Thank you.
As we just approved it, I wanted to recognize 10P, which is the collective bargaining agreement with our custodial unit. I just want to thank the board's team, especially Denise and John, for their work that they've put into that, for what was a extremely productive and respectful negotiations. Not extremely quick, in the sense that it happened quickly. It did happen quickly, but it was meaningful conversations and mutual respect. So I just want to thank their team as well, the custodial unit, for all the work that they continue to do and for good negotiations. So thank you.
Ms. Brown.
I just wanted to thank the district administration for a great start to the school year and for a great school opening. I unfortunately only got to visit one school because both of my sons are at Memorial now, so I missed out on Westmoreland, so I have a little bit of FOMO. Shout out to Westmoreland, I miss you. But they did a great job, as always. Memorial just keeps getting better and better. And I just commend everybody there, and the administration team there for doing such a great job. And their rhymes are unparalleled throughout the district. I think that they're the best. So I just wanted to thank them. So I just wanted to commend you guys on a great school opening. Thank you.
Okay, the floor is closed. Our upcoming meetings will be on October 30th, 2024. It is our regular monthly meeting at 7:30 p.m. on Thomas Edison School. On November 21st, 2024 is our November regular monthly meeting at 7:30 at Thomas Edison School. On December 19th, 2024 is our regular monthly meeting at 7:30 p.m. at Thomas Edison School. Please note, for these next 3 meetings, this does deviate from our 4th Thursday of the month. So these are not our standard time of the month for these meetings. So just please take note of that. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening.